Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Commission Breath. Brandon Love here with Tom Moffat. And today we're going to walk through 5 ways that you can make more money per file. And it's important to note that there's only so much juice that you can squeeze from a mortgage file. So today we're going to share 2 ways you can make more money immediately, and then 3 ways you can find opportunities within the file itself.
Brandon, you're looking extra cozy today. You got the toque on, you got the vest. Love it.
I'm trying not to turn my heat on, and I'm naturally like a really cold person. So yeah, I'm
We're
layered up
both in
down here.
basement.
Yeah.
The
The
basement
basement is
living.
not conducive to my chill level.
All right, we're a little goofy today. Let's get right into it. So, like you mentioned, Brandon, when it comes to the mortgage industry and being a mortgage broker, it's not the same as running, say, like a coaching business where you have these upsells that you can make to these new customers coming through your journey or your onboarding. We don't have that in our industry, but what we can do are we have, I think, 5 points here that we can control to either get more leads, make more per file through compensation, through commission, or other outlets that you can make more money in commissions through, which we're going to dive into with the first point, MPP. So, Brandon, why don't you take us away on that? Because you have more experience selling more of this than I do.
Yeah, so I think it's really important to dial in your MPP script. And I know a lot of people are going to groan hearing that, saying, I don't believe in the product. I don't want to sell it. It's a necessary evil. My brokerage makes me do it, but I tell my clients to not do it, yada, yada, yada. And okay, to a certain extent, I agree on certain people it's not the right fit for, but it is your job to analyze and look at whether it's a good product for people. And I think dialing in that script, whether it creates the MPP sale for yourself, which you do get paid for, or it creates a referral opportunity for you to pass around to another industry partner, which we'll get more into detail later. Both those are 2 ways that you can earn more money. So if you're not working on this script and you're just kind of treating it as something you have to get through, you're doing yourself a disservice and you're doing your clients a disservice as well.
Yeah, admittedly, I was one of those guys where I would like you obviously have to present MPP, and I was, and I would just be upfront and honest and be like, look, like this probably isn't the best option for you, but it is an option. Here it is. Here's the details. Not that I push it now, but I really do emphasize now to clients that they should be covered in one way or the other. And what I recommend doing is for them to sign up for MPP, take the 60 days to go shopping with a financial advisor or a life insurance agent and look at all options and compare it to MPP. Because at the end of the day, you have that 60-day money back guarantee. And that's an easy way for them to be covered from day one when they sign and for them to have that window of opportunity to compare options.
Yeah, and a lot of people will always say, "Oh, like these things will never happen to me." But I have 2 case studies. One was actually very recent from my personal book where MPP was relevant. The first one was someone doing a purchase and they took MPP. He lost his foot, random crazy accident, couldn't work anymore. Well, MPP kicked in and they were the benefactors of this. Last week, I had a realtor call me. She was bawling her eyes out. And I'm like, what's going on? Client died in a motorcycle accident the night before. 2 young kids, didn't take the MPP, said he didn't need it, and now they're screwed.
Yeah, this was literally last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, last week. So like
That's horrible, man. Horrible.
for what it would have been like, I think for him it was $34 a month. Had he taken it, he would have been protected. Everything would have been paid out. And now his family's left on the hook, having to close his property, and like 2 young kids.
Oh, man. Then 34 a month, he must have been pretty young too.
Is a young guy. Yeah, yeah.
Fuck. Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, there's two examples there. I don't have examples like that, but what I have learned over the last week, just speaking with other financial advisors, is I actually met with one that was really cool about it because most of them bash MPP. And I was kind of like along the same lines. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, like MPP is great, but I do think term insurance is better overall. But one of the FAs that I met with, he was quick to point out that there's not many, if any, disability options on the life insurance side. So with MPP, you have the life insurance and you have the disability insurance. That disability option isn't really a widespread thing on the other side of things with typical life insurance, which I didn't know. So it's pretty cool that you have the ability to pick one or the other or pick both of them. And so what I say now in my signing package videos is I mention that and say, hey, even if you don't want to go for everything, like you can pick one or the other. And the disability insurance is pretty unique in the sense that you can't really get that anywhere else.
Yeah, another thing I like to do is just kind of pick a few avatars for people that it makes sense for. So, one that I always recommend is if a young person's buying with their parents as co-signers, I say that the younger person should take it. It's dirt cheap and it protects their parents who are probably at a retirement age from having to pay a separate mortgage if, God forbid, they're hit by an asteroid or something happens to them.
Yeah, that's a great
The other
point.
avatar is like business owners. Sometimes self-employed people have a harder time getting insured. That's another one that it can make sense for. So there's a few different avatars. If you kind of go in with that, you can say, okay, this makes sense for this person. Either way, walk them through, say, take 60 days to think about it. Don't force this decision. It's not going to cost you anything if you back out.
Yeah, I would just say put it in your calendar 60 days out from the time you sign. And that way you have that reminder. And speaking of like, I mean, this episode is about making more money. And honestly, MPP pays pretty well too. So that's not a bad thing. I think if you have the ability to make more money and you're doing a good service by presenting this option to them, then I think it's a win win.
100%.
So why don't we move on to topic number two, volume bonus. So we're gonna get into some topics that like I feel like is kind of not a gray area, but it's like people tread lightly when it comes to making money. I think maybe it's a Canadian thing, and everyone always tries to say they always take the high road and it's always best for the client. And that is the number one thing. You have to pick the lender that's best for the client. But when it comes to volume bonuses and different promos that lenders offer, let's get real. Like monoline lenders, for the most part, are very similar to one another. There's some nuances from one lender to another. Like maybe one has slightly better porting features, maybe one has penalties based off of prime rate versus contract rate. These are the different nuances you have to know about each mono. And I'm speaking specifically about monoline lenders because they typically have the whisper specials and the quick close promos and all of that good stuff. But that would be a way to make more money, essentially, is picking and choosing which ones have the best promos at the time. And again, caveat or disclaimer, you have to do what's best for the client before you go that route.
Yeah, exactly. I think all things being equal, if you see, okay, lender X has prime minus zero point 0.9, lender Y has prime minus zero point 0.9, lender X is offering 15 basis points promo right now, you go with them. If the client experience, if the rate, if the terms are all the same, all things are equal, you go with the one that's going to pay you more. The next week, it might flip to being the other lender. And that's just the nature of the beast. But if you're not monitoring your emails, keeping on top of these kind of opportunities, you're not checking in with your BDMs to see if there's any promos that you should include in your submission notes, you're doing yourself a disservice. Okay. Client's going to be looked after. That's the expectation. Like there's no negotiation on that side of things. But once the client's looked after, you have to look after yourself, your family, your team, and being knowledgeable about these promos and how to take advantage of them is something that's on you.
And one of those points, I'm saying this wrong, but it's absolute gold in what you just said there. Check in with your BDM if there's a quick close promo or whisper special, because a lot of the times these promos can't be shared over email. Yes, a lot of them are, but some of them can't be shared over email. And this is something I've learned since starting Tango with you, Brandon, is a lot of these promos are either just through a call or text message. For whatever reason, their policy is they can't share through email, and maybe it's because it's for a limited time. They can't offer it to everyone. So make sure you ask up front. You might not know about a promo until you ask, and maybe you have your top 2 to 3 lenders that you work with. Always check in before you submit.
Yeah, and actually, just an interesting point on this too is make sure your brokerage is paying you these volume bonuses. We found out recently that a lot of BDMs don't disclose the volume bonuses to individual agents because the brokerages themselves keep that money. We at Tango pass this along to our agents, so make sure you're at a place that's actually sharing this with you because a lot of the time it can be like 15 to 30 basis points more, which gives you opportunities to earn more, opportunities to buy down. So it's just a tool that you don't want to miss out on there.
Yeah, it's crazy how old school it still is, man. Like we had an agent reach out to one of the BDMs in our channel asking about like, hey, like what's the compensation on like I don't know what term she or he was asking for, but let's say it's a 5-year term. They're asking the compensation on it, and the BDM couldn't disclose to that agent. So they reached out to me first and said, hey, this agent's asking for this. Can you reach out to them, give them the information there? I'm like, man, why wouldn't you just tell them? And it's because some brokerages want to hold their cards close and not present to their agents what they actually make, which is fucked, to be quite honest. We have a spreadsheet that shows all of the actual compensation for every single lender that they make, including efficiency, volume bonus, all of that good stuff. So let's wake up, industry. I know we already had an episode on this, so let's maybe move on from that topic, but it just gets me fired up.
Yeah, it does get you fired up. All right, we'll move on for that one. So we're going to transition here to more so how you can make sure you're earning more money through creating opportunities. And a big way to do that is to ask for referrals. So bake in asks throughout your client journey. We've touched on this with like the Ask Muscle episode, which was like one of our first 10 episodes. We've talked on this in like the client journey episode. You need to put these opportunities and steps to ask for business, or you just won't do it, or you'll forget to do it, you won't do it consistently, and you'll miss out on those chances.
Yeah, you've got to ask for the business. And I'm sure you, as a listener, you've probably had at some point, if you've been in the industry for long enough, you've had someone ask you, is it okay if I give your name to Bob? Like them asking that, it means that you haven't told them that you want referrals. And it's a very polite Canadian thing for us to not ask for business. It's an uncomfortable thing. There's ways to go about doing it and saying it instead of just be like, hey, do you have a referral for me? And one of those ways is, I think I've talked about it here on this podcast before, where with the approval email I send out, it's a high point in the client journey. They're happy, they've got their approval. I've got that PS line, it's a call to action in the approval email. I ask for a referral there. So you've got to really strategically bake in these asks at high points during the client journey, and even like through checking in week to week with pre-approved clients as well, because that's when their mind is on mortgages and real estate, is when they're going through the journey. So they're more than likely going to have these conversations outside at work or sports environment, like whatever the case is.
Yeah, for sure. It's what Scott always talked about, the reticular activating system. It's like if you're shopping for a red car, you'll see a red car. The other thing that I like that you do, I don't do this so much, but you do it. It's working quite nicely. So I probably should adopt it, is you reward the behavior. So when clients send you a referral and it closes, you send them like a surprise. Here's $180 to go towards your mortgage prepayment. They're always like, "Ooh, that was really cool. Like I wasn't expecting it. I didn't refer it because I like thought I was going to get this incentive. I just did it because you did a good job." But then you reward the behavior, which then kind of sweetens it even more, so they continue to do it.
Yeah, I used to do this early on, like to a smaller degree. I was sending, I think, $15 Starbucks cards back in the day for, I always had the impression like it's better to reward the behavior, like you said, where they're referring me out. And I would always do it for whenever they referred me to someone, but even if it didn't close. I think that's effective in some regards and it rewards the actual behavior, which is a good thing. But what I do now instead is, instead of the $15, I wanted to make more of an impact. So I created a referral program. And again, it comes down to marketing 101. Like, what is this referral program? Well, it's there because I'm passionate about helping you, Mr. Client, on paying down your mortgage quicker. So, how do I do that? Well, I have all of these strategies here that I'm going to teach you along the way throughout the term of your mortgage. But also, anyone you refer out to me that closes a mortgage with me, I'm going to give you $180 to put towards your mortgage and pay it down quicker. So, that was where I adopted that idea. And it's pretty new. Like, I think I've only been doing it for about a month now. And I think it's working well. Time will tell how well it scales and snowballs. But the people that get the money, they're super pumped. So I can only imagine more will come in the future.
Yeah, I think is kind of that thing. Now that you've started, you have to keep it going, which is sometimes I'm not crazy about those things that you can't take back.
Yeah, agreed.
But if you get someone sending you a bunch of business that actually closes, who cares? It's a couple $100 here and there.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a nice way to tap into certain communities, because the one I just sent out last week is actually to my very first client that I ever worked with in the industry. She sent me her father, and she's actually a doctor. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to give a kick-ass experience for her dad, who I did a refi for, and I'm going to send her the referral program, which she has no idea about because I did her mortgage way back when. And so she was pumped about it. She's surprised, happy with her dad. So I could only imagine there's going to be more referrals coming from her. And I hope to tap into her friends that are doctors, because that would be amazing. And same thing goes for first responders. I've obviously got a good network of first responders from being a firefighter. And if I can tap in that way and send out these $180 referral programs, pay for the appraisal, which is another thing we'll tap into here on one of the points, then it could only kind of scale in that environment, is my hope.
Yeah, I think it will. You just got to give it time. Good ideas with time and people spreading word of mouth. It'll take some time, like some time to snowball, but eventually you'll get there and you'll get those leads in. All right. So from there, you want to transition for looking for new partner opportunities within the deal itself. So, for example, you're working with a client who's buying a home. You're working with the realtor there as a partner, but there's another realtor on the other side of the transaction. And if you haven't worked with them before, this is a great opportunity to reach out, introduce yourself, share what your role is in the transaction, and offer some value adds about how you handle clients.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities in the client journey. Like client journey is like the ultimate favorite for me. I nerd out, but this stuff because there's so many ways you can make it into this leads machine where you have these different angles and avenues you can take it. And one of them is the realtor sequence. So we've kind of dabbled in and out of this, Brandon. We never really had this huge concrete like realtor sequence. We kind of just did it on the fly in terms of reaching out to the buyer agent, the listing agent. I've implemented some things in the back end now that I've touched on before in previous episodes where I'm more consistent with it, but it can definitely use some improving. But we've had the experience of attracting realtor partners through just working with clients in the client journey. So, is there an example you can give us where you either picked up a buyer realtor or listing realtor through one action you did in the client journey?
Yeah, there was a stretch there where I did the offer assist videos. I still offer it to partners, but a lot of them don't take me up on it. But, anyways, there was a stretch where a lot of them were doing it. It was more of a competitive market. And everyone I sent an offer assist video to asked me if I could do it for their clients down the road. And I picked up so many realtor partners in that quick stretch because they just love the idea. And if you haven't heard the episode on this, we went in depth on this, but basically, you're just sending a video saying, hey, I'm working with Tom. He's rock solid as a buyer. Only thing standing in the way is you accepting our offer. Hopefully, you can work together and get this deal done. Something along those lines. Very simple video, but it always helps close the deal.
Yeah, those were key in COVID, eh? Like with multiple offers. I find realtors they don't really care for it too much now because like any offer going in on a home right now, like that seller and listing realtor are all over it. So they're gonna work with the offer that's coming in most of the time.
Yeah, it's going to come back though. It's going to come back.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm working on to put into place for next year, I have all of my leads tracked and I have my conversion rate this year, which is close to 30%. But I'm like, I think I can get that number higher by just increasing the steps. And like, I think I can double my book of business next year by implementing a few checklists and tweaks. So what I'm going to build out is like a checklist for each client. It's going to be like a manual printout kind of thing and go through, did I reach out to the buyer? Did I do this? Did I do that? I have this checklist that has like my daily non-negotiables for like fasting, for not drinking, for writing down my goals, my steps, that kind of thing. It's really helped me hit all of those things. So I think if I do it for files, for each file, I won't skip any steps on the sequence and I'll just snowball the business with it.
Like that. So you're gonna have a like an actual physical page printout for every client. And do you do it for anyone that's gone live or when do you start that printout?
Yeah, so I think what I'll probably end up doing is like, I wish I had the book with me, but I forgot it up at the cottage. I'm going to just use this existing framework. So it has like lines across the top where you could write the client's name. And then I'm going to write the whole client journey from like lead in. So like call the realtor, thank them for the lead, discovery call. And it's just going to be X's. So you could have like 25 clients on one page, a very clean visual. You could do a page for each month and then you could see your month of deals and go all the way down.
So it's not necessarily like a to-do list like, okay, create budget, send over approval email. It's nothing to do with the actual file to-do list. It's more so like the asks, the actions that get you more business. That's going to be on this page.
Exactly. You could go really granular and do all that stuff. I already do that stuff. That's
Yeah,
not so
yeah.
much, but it's more so like the marketing and sales side of things that sometimes like you're busy and you flip off a budget and you say, okay, you're approved, but you never make the call.
Those are the actions that most agents forget because they've done the business for so long where they know how to package a file and go through their client journey, but it's the opportunities that they're kind of glossing over because they're just focused in the file.
Yeah, exactly. You get bogged down and you get into bad habits there. And I think that's something that if you focus on changing and you would constantly work on self improving, that's where you get these opportunities to scale and grow your business. You can only do so much in the mortgage space to stand out. At a certain point, you have to focus on, okay, I'm going to get X amount of leads and how can I improve my conversion rate? Because I don't want to add 1,000 shitty leads. I want to keep high quality leads and just focus on closing more of those and then getting better ones.
Exactly. Those leads coming from the client journey are going to be super warm, like especially consumer to consumer. Like if it's a past client referring you to one of their friends, like those are typically the warmest. If it's a realtor that you're picking up through the client journey and they're now your partner, those are also really good leads too. I would argue maybe they're a step down from past client, in my opinion, in terms of warmness. But the nice part about gaining a referral partner during your client journey process is you're multiplying the amount of leads coming in because that referral partner is going to have multiple leads per month or per year versus that past client might have one or two per year.
Exactly. I would say like your client experience while they're in the mortgage space, that is quick wins. Adding partners to the process, those are long wins. So you're going to reap the benefits from that. Might not be immediate, but over the year you get the benefit and compound that out. You get some quick wins that help with immediate cash flow, but then you get the long
Exactly.
tail stuff that keeps your business growing.
Yeah, that's why it snowballs, man. Love it. So yeah, I think for me, that one pager that you're doing, I've done some of that to a certain extent in my lead tracker spreadsheet where I have like those check boxes that I'm checking along the way. And I've only added maybe four tasks, and two of them are for listing realtors where I'm reaching out twice. And one is for following the client on social media after it closes. After it closes, you never want to do it before because you never know how it's going to go. Fourth one is a 30-day follow up phone call, which
Yeah.
I'm lacking in doing, I'll be honest, but it's there. It's there for me to check off.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That's one that I often miss as well.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So, speaking of referral partners, let's dive into some financial advisors and other wealth partner opportunities that you can find in the client journey.
Yeah, so I think I touched on one there with MPP. If someone's on the fence about taking it or they take it and they want to explore other opportunities, it's a great opportunity for you to make a referral there. That's a big one. Why don't you touch on a few that you have, Tom? Because you've been really deep on this lately.
Yeah, I've been deep on it. It's still new for me. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I know all the answers and that it's going so well because, again, it's like over 2, 3 weeks in. But some of the things I'm now looking for are ways to not only find new partners for myself, but new partners for my other wealth partners. So, as an example, I referred over our accountant that we work with. I referred him over to one of my financial advisors because that accountant is like a realtor to a financial advisor for us. Financial advisors get most of their leads from accountants versus any other referral source. So, if I can connect these partners together, I'm kind of like that hub guy that they think of, and it just makes it stickier for them to think of me for clients that need a mortgage. So that's one way. Another way is I'm looking at starting from the discovery call. I'm now asking clients if I kind of have an idea of what they do for a living, and I you can typically tell if the person is going to be successful in the sense of like having like some savings and some assets. Like you can kind of just tell right away based off of honestly how they present themselves, what they do for a living, if they're self-employed, if they're in like sales, tech, whatever the case is. They might have a financial advisor, and I'll ask them that question. Do you have a financial advisor? Or I'll ask them about their assets. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, like if they don't have a financial advisor, but they have these assets and they're self directing, maybe there's a way that I can refer them over to a financial advisor through the process. So I'm taking notes on all of this and looking down the line for those opportunities.
Yeah, and I think a really important thing that we haven't really touched on here is all of these things we're doing enhances the client experience. So it's overall improving your client's experience while also creating partnership opportunities for you, referrals for you, increase sales for you. But the foundation of all of this is delivering a way better experience for the client, which is huge.
Yeah, exactly. It's twofold. And it really started out us talking about how much more you can make per file. But yeah, like you said, it's helping the client journey experience, which is, again, going to give you more referrals, which is the point. And so, like, the last thing I would say on FAs is kind of like a bit off topic, but last week when I met with a financial advisor, I got his contact information and an email intro from our accountant. So I leveraged him to say, hey, do you have a financial advisor that I can work with? So it's a quick, easy way to get these meetings. And he referred me over to two financial advisors. The one that I had a phone call with, he was mostly focused on asset management and he didn't really focus on the insurance aspect of it, which is cool. That's fine. I'm looking to refer out insurance leads to financial advisors. So he might not be the best for me to give leads to, but I'm still going to follow up with him, see if he can send me business and if I can add value adds other ways. But one thing he said was, I actually work closely with another financial advisor who just focuses in on insurance. So I'm like, yes, please connect me with him. So he sent an email intro to the other financial advisor. We had another meeting scheduled and that went really, really well. Probably the best meeting I've had out of all, I think I've done 11 at this point. And he has a portfolio of 1,000 past clients that he sends out marketing to, so monthly newsletters. And he wants me to write on occasion, whether it's quarterly or semi monthly, whatever the case is, he wants me to do mortgage articles for him to send out to his database. And I'm like, yes, I'll do that. A
Yeah.
thousand, not just like a database of random emails, like they are past clients. So I'm really excited for that opportunity. We have another lunch scheduled, I think, in a couple of weeks from now. So I will be reporting back here and letting people know how it goes.
Yeah, you should go to that lunch with an article written.
Ooh, I like that. I
Yeah, get
like
ahead of
that.
it.
That's super proactive.
Yeah,
Beauty.
that's what I would do
Yeah, it's a
100%.
good idea.
See, we come up with ideas for ourselves on this podcast as well, which is kind of a nice touch. So
There you
good
go.
stuff. Okay, so recap, dial in your insurance script, look for volume bonuses where all things being equal to clients, there's more money on the table. Don't leave it there. Ask for referrals from your current clients. Find more realtor partners in the buying sequence and create opportunities for financial advisors and wealth partners who will help grow and scale your business long term. These are 5 things that if you're not doing, you can do today that will make you more money next year. So, highly recommend implementing them. There's less money on the table with shorter term mortgages. So, it's up to us to create more opportunities and ways for us to earn more top end revenue.
Variables coming back, baby. Let's go.
Cheers, everyone.